Smart money management. What's working in 2026? What's working right now? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 74 of our Supersize Your Business Annual Challenge. Our topic today is budgeting. Now, I love this topic. It's really interesting to me. There have been times in my life when I personally have not budgeted. I find that, like all other human beings, there's sometimes when we are doing really, really well and we just go with the flow of things, and other times when we're struggling and we want to just ignore and hide from things and the way they are. I think we've all had periods of our life like that. Some, maybe you're fortunate enough that you never have, but most of us, the vast majority of people on the planet, the vast majority of people here in the USA have had times where there's, been lean times, and we need to be a little bit more conscious and present with how we are allocating our resources, spending our money. Now, for my businesses, depending on the industry, we have different strategies and different ways of budgeting. Remember one of my first jobs, no, it was actually one of my last jobs in corporate America. I joined an organization that had never, ever, in the 100 years they'd been around, budgeted. And we implemented budgets for the first time in that organization, and it was revolutionary because, or I guess transformational is better than revolutionary. There was some revolutions going on in the background because the way they did things was handshakes and promises and probably kickbacks. Never looked into that because I didn't want to know, but probably kickbacks as well for jobs assigned and things. And we instituted things like bidding processes and things that made the company stronger and better and ultimately saleable to a much higher bidder, and allowed the owner of the company, which was a family-owned business, the opportunity to exit the industry at a very profitable number. So I shared in Supersize You Annual Challenge 3 different ways that I have personally budgeted over the years that have helped me during different periods of my life. And sometimes you can get away with it for 100 years as an organization and not have budgeting. But we literally saved the company tens of millions of dollars by budgeting, by doing budgets, by having a bidding process, meaning, hey, if you're going to do a job over a couple $1,000s, and I think we set it at 5 originally, then you got to get at least 3 bids for that particular job or project. And we found that we were overpaying like 5 and 10-fold for certain things that we just didn't need to do that for, and save the company literally tens of millions of dollars the first year. So I did share zero base, the 50-30-20, and then the profit first, pay yourself first philosophy. If you want to know anything about those from a personal standpoint, just hit me up and ask, and I can either send you the video from Supersize You Annual Challenge, or we can talk about it. But since we're talking about business here, let's talk about what I actually do in my businesses, because I think that that's helpful. And I've done it for them for a lot of the time. And that is allocation, budgeting, and actually sitting down and having a budgeting process. We have a whole formal process that we use in our organizations now and have for a long time and we tweak it every year, just like all of our other processes and systems, to make sure it's continually improving and staying and keeping up with the times. But basically, you figure out how much the organization as a whole figures out how much money we're going to have come in. And then by division and by department and by function in the organization, we assign, hey, this is the amount of income that you have available to you. Now, sometimes that works out really, really well. If sales are down, it doesn't always work out really well, because it means that the different departments and divisions and people have to cut back and find ways to be more efficient and more effective, which in my mind, that's a foundational core value of mine. We should always be doing that, right? We as individuals, as well as our businesses, should always be looking for ways to do what we do faster, better, easier, more efficiently, and more effectively, right? And that's a Sharon should. It's not necessarily your philosophy. It's not necessarily a goal or a core value for your organization. But all of us should do what matches our core values as we're building and growing and supersizing our business. And now I'm assuming that your core values are wholesome and good. I assume that everybody's good, not that they're trying to do anything that's evil. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to me, because I don't like that. I won't go into it. we've all made mistakes, right? We've all had bad things happen to us. And that's where that comes from for me. And I'm very careful who I partner with now, uh, because I've had some bad business partners. I'm very careful about the things that have challenged me in the past because it's the lessons learned, right? So I like to look at, okay, this is a revenue coming in. These are all the expenses we can pretty much guess we're going to have. Fixed expenses are pretty easy to ascertain and calculate. It's the variable expenses that are a little bit more challenging, but it's up to us to do our best in anticipating what those are going to be. And then we track every month against our budget and see how on or off we are. Now, just because you make your budget doesn't mean you're doing a good job, right? Because maybe you lucked out one year and you got a whole lot of extra allocation for your department or your division. So we have to always step back and look at it from the big picture perspective, which is usually in corporate America what our bosses are doing. But if you're the owner of the business, that's your job and your responsibility to do that and see and tweak things accordingly, not waiting till the end of the year and looking at it and say, oh my God, we lost, $250,000 because of this, this, and this, and make excuses for it. We want to look at it every single month. So we're being aware and adjusting as necessary. Maybe we got to add another salesperson and go out and get more sales. Whatever it is, we don't want to wait till the end of the year and then just be surprised. And that's part of why budgets are so powerful. They help us stay on track, and they also help us be prepared for when we get spurts of growth so that we can map out and plan for those as well. And we should all be planning for spurts of growth, right? We should all be planning for supersizing and growing all the time. And that's going to change the way we allocate some of our resources. So my question for you is, are you like my 100-year-old company friends that don't do budgets, have never done a budget, don't care about budgets? Just put in the comments below. And guess what? If that doesn't match with what you want for your organization, that's absolutely fine. If you are somebody that does use budgets and has used budgets, share in the comments below maybe your biggest lesson learned or the biggest benefit to you and your organization by doing that. If you want, you can share your tips and tricks and ways that you do it that would help other business owners, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help one another out. That's all I've got today. Budgeting is, just like every financial topic, pretty sacred for all of us. And a lot of people don't even want to talk about it, but I think we need to. And that's why we have the school community available for like-minded people to come together and say, this is what I've been doing. It is not working for me. Does anybody have any help and advice? That's the power of community. All right. If I can help in any way, ask. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.